So first things first, respect to Dwyane Wade for choosing to sacrifice about, $7 or $8 million off of his buyout with the Bulls, and then agreeing to the 2-year deal with the Cavs. So as a result, the dude did lose out on about $6 million, but he does want to, compete for a championship and all that. So I think that's pretty cool to see. So props to Dwyane Wade for that one. And if we talk about this Cavaliers team now, with the acquisition of Dwyane Wade and one with Derrick Rose, and of course the trade that brought over Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder, and when I look at all the guys that the Cavaliers have brought in, I think some strengths have presented themselves in terms of guys who can create their own shots and perhaps carry the offense when LeBron is not in the game, hopefully, because that's been a big problem for them for a while. It's going to take some adjustments on Ty Lue's part as well. But I think some weaknesses have crept up as well, mainly on the defensive side of the floor. But I want to start with the strengths first because, I feel like being nice. So at this point in his career, Dwyane Wade, he's definitely not the athletic freak who can beat anybody off the dribble and also average 7 assists a game and shoot 7 free throws a game and all that. But he's still pretty crafty, even if his athleticism is not what it was. He is a really good cutter. He recognizes just when a good opportunity is to attack the rim without the ball in his hands. So even if the defense provides help off of him because he can't shoot threes, he's pretty good at just cutting to the rim and beating you that way. He still shoots a decent amount of free throws for his age, and while I wouldn't want the guy just in isolations all the time, if I can get him in mismatches and if I can get him a good screen, then he can still make some things happen offensively for me. And I do think he could be used as a primary ball handler type of dude when LeBron is sitting, I would say. As for the starting lineup, I might just want a spot shooter in there just to give the spacing for LeBron and Isaiah Thomas and all that. Because if you have a lineup to start the game, which is Isaiah Thomas, I'll just use Kyle Korver, LeBron James, Kevin Love, and Tristan Thompson, that's a lot of guys who can shoot, and that's a lot of guys who, it'll just be tough for the defense to kind of pick the dude to help off of, or if it's Dwyane Wade, then it's pretty obvious who they're going to help off of. So that's an idea. But then when we're talking about Dwyane Wade's ability to be a primary ball handler off the bench for this team, or in situations when LeBron's not in there, then we have to talk about how he fits in with Derrick Rose. I think that's an awkward fit, because neither one of these dudes can shoot threes. They both need the ball in their hand to be successful, because you're not going to get Dwyane Wade cutting to the rim every single possession. And I do think it's going to be a little awkward, because if we have situations where Rose and Wade are in the game together, if one of them drives, the defense is going to help off of the other guy. And, these guys, they're definitely not as athletic as they once were, so they're not just going to be able to beat every single closeout that comes their way. So I do think, as long as you don't completely ignore them and you don't give them the easiest lane to the basket possible, I think Derrick Rose and Dwyane Wade are not impossible to contain at this point in their careers. So it's going to be interesting to see how Ty Lue puts these two together. I think my idea would be, if Dwyane Wade's in the game, then I want Isaiah Thomas in the game, because Isaiah Thomas can shoot threes, assuming that he still has a hip. And then if Derrick Rose is in the game, then I want either J.R. Smith or Kyle Korver at the shooting guard position, because they can shoot, Just have a three-point shooter to offset the non-three-point shooter at all times. And then it will make Derrick Rose or Dwyane Wade's day better, because they can focus a little bit more on attacking and all that. As far as how you manage to do that and still give everybody an ample amount of minutes, I don't know. That's Tyronn Lue's problem, not mine. But now if we can get to the defense, because that's kind of the fear that I have with this. There's a lot of guys on this Cavaliers team who are not good on defense. There's Derrick Rose, there's Dwyane Wade, there's Isaiah Thomas, there's Kyle Korver, there's J.R. Smith, there's Kevin Love. 6 guys who I would consider average to below average defensively. Now sure, there are two really good defenders on this team, Jay Crowder and Tristan Thompson. There's also LeBron when he gives a crap. Potentially Iman Shumpert, although with how many perimeter players are on this team now, I don't know how many minutes Shumpert is going to get. So I think the Cavs are going to have some defense problems, first and foremost. I think there are ways that they can resist those defensive problems, but at a certain point you're going to have to deal with the fact that like every single point guard and shooting guard that's going to play a lot of minutes on this team, unless Jay Crowder's playing the shooting guard spot, just isn't very good on defense. So in a perfect world, I think Crowder is defending the best perimeter player on the other team. LeBron James is defending the second best one. So that can work against some teams. You know, you put Isaiah Thomas on the spot shooter. You have Dwyane Wade defend the third best perimeter player, if you will. You do a similar thing with Derrick Rose. It can work against some teams. It's not going to work against the best teams in the league, because the smart teams, like the Spurs, for example, they'll find a way to attack Isaiah Thomas or Kyle Korver or J.R. Smith or whoever every single time they're in the game. Then if we look at a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder, well, they have three really good offensive players, so you're going to have to put one of your not as good guys on one of those dudes. If we look at the Celtics, Brad Stevens is very smart. He's going to attack the bad defensive players. The Houston Rockets have two great creators. They also have a third really good one in Eric Gordon off the bench. And that's kind of my thing with this Dwyane Wade acquisition. Do I think it can make the Cavaliers better? Sure. Do I think it gives them any better of a chance against the Warriors or the Spurs or the Rockets or the Thunder? No, I don't. Now that doesn't mean I don't fault them for making the attempt, because, I mean, who the hell knows what's going to happen with this team after next season with LeBron James on a 1 year, Isaiah Thomas on a 1 year, and whatever the hell else they have. But ultimately, no, I don't think this makes them any better against the top teams in the league. Now, would I still pick them in 7-game series over the Celtics? Yeah, because they have LeBron James, and they still do have some scorers in this team. I mean, between LeBron, Kevin Love, Isaiah Thomas, what Dwyane Wade can provide for you if you find the right fit with him and Derrick Rose, or what Derrick Rose could provide for you, vice versa. Yeah, they could just score enough points, and they're LeBron just being LeBron to where they could beat the Celtics. And the same thing would go for the Wizards or the Raptors or whoever the hell else could emerge out of the East this season to face them in the conference finals. Now, what's interesting is the Brooklyn pick. That is still out there. The rumors of DeMarcus Cousins are there. I mean, if they got Boogie, I'll just say what I said before about him. I think his size would give the Warriors some problems, and maybe the Cavaliers would be so freaking good offensively at that point that it just becomes a shootout that maybe you can win. I would still pick the Warriors because, I mean, unless Boogie just has some defensive revelation, I don't think the guy can defend in space like that. And the Warriors and the Rockets and these teams, they're going to make your big guys defend in space, so. But who knows what will end up happening with that Brooklyn pick. I don't want to go too deep into that because, you know, it's, as of right now, they have that pick. I do want to talk about some of the lineups that they could put out there. The way they use Jay Crowder is going to be really interesting, Tyronn Lue, the way he uses him, because I would say Crowder can defend the shooting guard through power forward positions, and he can also play all those positions as well. So he is versatile enough to just kind of make up for some of the other lack of defense on this team, especially on the perimeter, which I have mentioned already. So for some lineups they could roll with, I mean, it's going to be either Derrick Rose or Isaiah Thomas at point. Unless you want to roll with Dwyane Wade at point, I wouldn't, but if you want to, knock yourself out. You could roll with Crowder at the 2, LeBron at the 3, Kevin Love, Tristan Thompson. You could go with a smaller lineup where you have Crowder at power forward, LeBron at small forward, Tristan Thompson, and then just pick one of your shooting guards, whoever the hell you want. So there's some versatility on this team, no doubt. But ultimately, I just think it's going to come down to they just don't have enough defensive players. I mean, Kevin Love was already a problem for them defensively against a team like the Warriors. J.R. Smith already was, Kyle Korver already was. Then you acquired a whole bunch of dudes who aren't really known for their defense, so that's what it is. Do I think they will still make the NBA Finals? Assuming that Isaiah Thomas is good to go, sure. And I think the Warriors are going to make the finals again, and I don't think they're beating the Warriors. So there you go.